Right? I'm live. All right. And welcome, everyone. Make sure I'm live here. And put a 1 if you can hear me, everyone. Welcome to Leroy Truth Investigations. Important update of Cold Spring, New York. This is going to blow your mind. This will absolutely blow your mind. Important update. And I'm going to show you the history Cold Spring, New York, of how they hire known, brutal, or corrupt, and brutal police officers. And it is mind-blowing what you will discover. And one of the things I've noticed, ladies and gentlemen, is the more that I investigate here at Leroy Truth Investigations, and one of the things I've noticed, someone says it's doubling. Why would it be doubling? That happened last time as well. How about now? Let's see if it's gone. The phone Bluetooth was on. I just turned it off. And let's see if it clears up. There's about a 10-second delay here. Okay, is the echo gone? Echo, echo, echo. Is the echo gone? Let me know if it is. Just say echo gone. Check 1 2 1 2. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And I want to thank my producer as well here, everybody. And this is Scalzo Photo. And super, super helpful. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. He's an incredible photographer, videographer, and he's been extraordinarily helpful for me and also for Long Island Audit. Does some work for him as well, some editing. So with this, again, you're going to be mind blown. And we'll give a few minutes just for more people to join us here. And I want to thank you so much for joining. And I figured, you know what? That 60 Minutes does their program Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. And at least in the foreseeable future, I'm going to do mine 7 o'clock. And it seems to be a good time. Work for them for like 20, 30, 40 years. And I want to first welcome everyone. John Denicola, John Eagle, Claudette. And, love to see you as always. 10TP, Michael Butler. Yeah, call me later, 10TP. I saw your message. Keeping the Swine, No Name Coder. Claire, Wales, UK. News Now, Victoria, Not So Silent. And as News Now, Victoria says, world's meanest mayor. She's trying to turn the USA into another Canada. Don't let her turn the USA into another Canada. She is from corrupt Canada. Yeah, Canada is further along than we are in the lack of rights, and it's insane. So again, as you're all joining me, I have some important updates in regards to the village of Cold Spring, New York. Many of you have seen the latest video that I posted a couple days ago. Good Guy Activism posted, because Mayor Kathleen Foley, the meanest mayor in America, as she's been called, as well as finger wagging Foley. Someone called her in the comments, and where she's like, it's my turn to talk now. It's my turn to talk. I have the floor. It's my turn to talk. Who hates public comment and hates the truth, as demonstrated here. And it's such a shame, because any representative of the government, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, they are supposed to represent we the people, not them, the person, them, their special interests. And I have been covering the story in the village of Cold Spring now for probably at least 6 months. And it has literally become like a soap opera. And because every time I go there, Mayor Foley, the village board, Larry Burke, officer in charge of police, Officer Barclay, Officer Baker, they just keep doing unconstitutional, really dumb things. And things got super crazy when I was there this past Monday. And I was accosted by a guy who was upset because Mayor Kathleen Foley of the village of Cold Spring, New York, to try to silence yours truly, Leroy Truth, at meetings, created a policy, which we know what policies have in regards to Constitution and our rights. She instituted a policy she voted last Wednesday that said, going forward, no one by default will be able to speak at a village hall meeting in the comment section. No more comments, public comments allowed by default. However, on a meeting by meeting basis, I will have the board vote if we decide we want people to speak. With a majority of votes from the board, we will allow speaking. And you know what that means? It's so simple. It means that when I am there, by default, they will not allow public comments. when I am there. When I am not there, it will be a miracle. The seraphims and the angels will pour forth from the heavens, and there will miraculously be a vote to allow public speaking, of which the majority board will always vote such. And of course, you can't create policies that target one person. That's policy number one. She just and her and the board voted on that last week. Then they also voted on a second policy. No more recording in the village hall unless there is a meeting. So we can't speak during a meeting, but we can record during a meeting. However, she has said, she's issued this decree that every section in the village hall, including bathrooms, like, duh, who's recording in the freaking bathroom? Anyway, that should go unsaid with a reasonable, sensible person. But all areas in the village hall, including the hallways, and even recording through the glass window into the mayor's office area is now unlawful. That doesn't fly. That's not right. And these corrupt politicians, they get away with these things when good people do nothing. When people just complain and they don't actually challenge this. So this past Monday, right after the mayor had all these signs, and by the way, the signs, Mayor Foley, because I know you watch every one of my videos and all your minions and the board, so I'm speaking directly to you, Tweeps, Phillips, Woods, and Eliza, Starbuck, and Aaron Freemark, and all of you. Those signs didn't even look good. But here's the thing. You need to immediately go and burn those signs. Burn them. Because those signs are worth the cheapest, thinnest copy paper that you printed them on. Your policy doesn't apply to me, to you, to anyone. Well, actually, it applies to you if you wanted to, but to anyone in my audience here. It doesn't apply to you all. And so I went there, Good Guy Activism, a Scalzo photo. Went there to do a Freedom of Information request. And we wanted to do this Freedom of Information request. But Mayor Foley constantly kept saying this. But we have a policy. We have a policy. We have a policy. And wagging her finger like this. Like a witch of a school teacher admonishing, trying to admonish like a little 5-year-old. And then at one point, she actually read the freaking policy out loud. It was hilarious. And she read the whole thing. It took like 5 minutes. Completely useless. Waste of air. So make sure to check out my video if you haven't seen my latest video. And also check out Good Guy Activism's latest video too, that he just posted today about that. Now, I was also attacked by a guy who was upset because he said, is this the idiot who is preventing me from commenting at my meetings? Well, number one is that they are our meetings. We are we the people. They are not exclusively for the village. And it was Mayor Kathleen Foley, idiot, who had accosted and attacked me the other day. And because of that attack, he doesn't know this yet, but he can't get away with doing something like that. So I filed charges this past Friday. And that was a whole nother debacle. When I went to do another Freedom of Information request, another woman who would not give me her name, she wouldn't let me in the building, said, oh, I'm all alone. I'm all alone. I haven't dropped this video yet. It'll be dropping this week. And at first, she wouldn't give me a Freedom of Information request. Finally, she did. But she wouldn't let me in. And she cracks the door open, like sticks it through this little door. I said, I just want to fill it out. It's freaking cold outside. This is my building. I have a right to go into my building, we the people's building. And she wouldn't let me come in. So it just goes on and on. But the village people, and there are many village idiots, not all of them. There are some very, very, very good people in the village of Cold Spring. But there's some village idiots there. And they have been continuing to escalate against me. And something that Mayor Kathleen Foley has complained about is she said, and she said this in the newspaper article written by the Highland Currents Rag. And I was the front page story. I was the subject of that story last week. And she complained like, she's getting death threats and misogynistic and sexist things and racist things are being said. And number one, I categorically and unequivocally condemn anything like that. Anyone who says that, they're not doing that on behalf of me. And I ask them to stop doing that. We can redress the government professionally. I will never say respectfully because I don't respect Kathleen Foley or anyone who takes away our rights. However, we could do it professionally without obscenities and never with threats of violence, ever. but she's been complaining. Again, she claims, I haven't seen any of this. She complains about all this. Things are stressful. Well, Mayor Kathleen Foley, I'm going to tell you something. I'm the only one who's been assaulted. I went to a community day. During community day, this is all in my videos. As I'm leaving community day with Scalzo photo, some woman yells at me, "I hope you die." Now, what is that? Then another person named Dave stands right in front of my camera and initially wouldn't leave. I mean, literally, he's right here in front of my camera. Against the law. Then it's escalating to this other guy who I don't know his name yet. You'll see him in the video in just a few minutes. And if anyone can identify who he is, then let me know, because I need to know that. And he's deranged. He's unstable. And he was ignoring his daughter's pleas to leave when he was the one accosting me. So the only escalation of physical violence is on me, not on you, Mayor Foley. So this guy, he can't get away with it. And so I absolutely filed charges against him. And what's ironic is there will be a trial. I will not settle. He cannot get away with this. And when you see this, it's insane. If you haven't seen the video yet, if you have, put a one in the chat if you've seen the video. If you haven't, you got to watch it. And my moderators, and here, Scals, I want to make you a moderator here. Can you comment so I can see your name there? And you got to watch this video. But this guy is unstable, deranged, and people like that have got to be called out. He broke the law, and so he's gonna face the consequences of that. So I'm going to show you first a bit of the video and go through a little bit of it, share some highlights, give context. And Good Guy Activism came with me. He did an awesome job, and also Scalzo Photo did an awesome job. So let me know, Scalzo, when you've got a comment in there so I can make you a moderator. Yeah, there's a delay. And this is like a 10, 15, 20-second delay. And John, thank you for also being a moderator, John Denicola. And, okay, Scalzo. And let's see, add as moderator. Okay, there you go. All right, so I'm going to show you some snippets of this video now. So let's check this out. And right from the beginning, I show where this guy comes at me. And I'm going to share something. This is very important. Because when this guy accosted me, a number of people in the comments, not a lot, but a number of people said, "Leroy, why didn't you knock him out? And Leroy, why didn't you just, deck him?" Well, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever there is any type of physical violence that is directed toward, say, you, toward me, from a standard of law, you cannot give more than is in balance or context with what you're being what you're receiving. And so it would not have been appropriate to knock the guy out. And could I have? Yes, I have. And I have some training in my background, shall we say. But a wise man only uses force necessary to diffuse the situation. And police love to make people who defend themselves into the criminals. And as a police officer recently said to a guy I was talking with, he said, whoever wins loses in these physical altercations, unless it's clearly blatant that your life is in danger. And so that is clear. And I want to make that super clear to anyone. If someone gets in your face, do not knock him out. You have a right to, push them away. You have a right to, move. But don't exceed any level of physicality that basically would put you into jail. Don't do that. So here, I'm going to share some of this. And at some point, we're also going to do call in here as well. So probably about 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we're going to do call in. And Angry Vet, welcome. I was watching Angry Vet's live stream before. Brandon Mitchell, welcome. Rami and Violet in the Sky. So let's take a look at some of this video here.
Because
humor.
That nut job from Fishkill that's screwing up my ability to talk to my own meetings.
Who is this?
I'm not.
Now you see, I'm doing an outro to give you context. I'm standing in front of the Village of Cold Spring. police station, village court, and town hall, village hall. It's all in the same building, little tiny building. And I'm doing my outro for the video of this. And as I'm doing that, this guy suddenly comes up out of nowhere and scowls. He came from across the street, right? He came from across the other side of the street, crosses the street diagonally to get to my side, and does this. And you tell me if this is not breaking the law and if this is an escalation of violence. And he's upset with me because of Mayor Kathleen Foley's unconstitutional policy saying no one by default can comment at public meetings anymore. She says, there's no law that says we have to let people comment. Village of Cold Spring people, everyone who's watching this, if you don't impeach this woman, that she is stopping all public comments because she wants to get back at me. And what is she so afraid of that I'm saying? You know what she's afraid of? It's because I brought the facts that an officer, Kenneth Baker, who is employed for the last 4.5 years, almost 5 years now, in the village of Cold Spring, gave me a retaliatory, unlawful ticket after he yelled at me after being double parked venomously, screaming at me. And I didn't take that, and I met that verbally to him. He didn't like that. He could have given me a ticket for double parking. I would have paid the ticket. It would have been dumb. He could have just said, hey, can you move, sir? Just a little down the block. And I would have said yes. But he didn't. He escalated because he's a brutal, documented NYPD police officer. And I've just been bringing the facts that are documented on 50-A.org. If someone, moderator, can put that in the chat, the link to 50-A.org, Officer Kenneth Baker, because he's the crux. This is where it all started. And however, it turned out as an investigative journalist, and it took no investigative skills. You just do a search, Kenneth Baker, NYPD, and you find his incredibly detailed, documented, brutal police history, brutalizing innocent men and women, and then lying about them on police reports and so forth. Documented. The village hired him anyway. Is that crazy? And I've been attempting to simply bring that information to Mayor Foley, the Board of Trustees, and the residents, visitors, and business owners. But Mayor Foley doesn't want to hear the truth. I have nothing personal against her. She has against me. So this is what one of her supporters does after she creates this policy to try to silence me.
Because
Humor.
it's not job from fish scale that's screwing up my ability to talk to my own meetings.
Who is this?
I'm not.
Goes hands on.
I'm not.
Hey, guy,
Don't touch me.
back
Touch
up.
me.
You walked up to him.
assaulting me.
You walked up, back up.
Get out of my
face.
Back up.
I can walk up to him.
Back up.
I would have been snuffed.
I'm talking to this gentleman right now, so if you can wait patiently.
Can you not talk to me with your fingers? That's rude.
This is my own hand. So facts are important.
Yeah, you allow me.
Excuse me, I'm talking right now. Your time is done. I'm talking right now.
Who she thinks she is? I mean, she is apparently the ultimate narcissist, because the story started off because of a factually known, documented police officer who gave me a retaliatory ticket. So I have personal experience with him, Officer Kenneth Baker. Somehow, she has managed to make the story about her. Ultimate narcissist.
I'm talking.
Okay. You don't have to talk to me like I'm a toddler.
Freedom of information. And that was Sean Long Island Audit who went there when I was there in Scalzo. She talked to him like he's a freaking toddler. I'm talking now. I'm talking. And by the way, people have been asking me for T-shirts that have her image on it and the wagging of the finger. I'm talking now. I'm talking now. So we're looking at that as a possibility. I'm talking now. I'm talking now, which means we the people can't talk. You the people need to shut up and do whatever I say. I'm Mayor Foley, damn it.
Request. I have a number
I
of them.
was helping someone else. I'm happy to get that for you.
Why are you so agitated? Are you on something?
This is not what you need today. That's legitimate public business in the village.
Anything that's legitimate public business. Well, number one, you can be kinder. You can de-escalate yourself.
I've asked you what help you need, sir. What help do you need?
I asked you for the free information request. Now he may want some. Look,
Any other legitimate public business?
why do you keep using the word legitimate? What?
Because that is what our policy is. If you don't have legitimate public business here, you are trespassing.
More than welcome to film the open accessible areas. You want to just constitutional right? I have no problem with that.
Whoa. Now here's a police officer, one of the rare police officers in the world. Now, again, I don't trust any of them, but in this moment, he is doing the right thing and completely defying her unlawful and illegal and unconstitutional policy. And I ask him to say it again.
You are in a non-public, non-designated public space.
In a public building.
It's protected under the First Amendment.
Right.
You have.
Can you train everyone else, including the mayor, about that?
I say, can you train everyone else, including the mayor, about that? This officer, I can just about guarantee you, this was this past Monday, right, Scalzo? I guarantee you, Tuesday morning, oh my God, he was reamed out like he's never been reamed out before. How dare you defy the unconstitutional policy of Mayor Kathleen Foley? How dare you not be part of the thick blue line gang? How dare you act like a decent man? And Officer Constantino, I think that's his name. And I don't hate all cops. I hate bad cops. It just turns out most of them are bad. He, according to his actions, was absolutely a good cop in this case. He defied an unlawful and illegal policy. And believe me, she wanted us arrested so fast we didn't know what hit us. Continuing here.
You're the good guy, you want it?
I'll do the activism. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You did a good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
So he actually has watched Good Guy Activism. And so going forward, he's watching Leroy Truth Investigations most likely as well. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. And she is so... Oh, here. This is where Good Guy Activism goes into the village hall. And I heard something going on there. And he basically transformed into Mayor Kathleen Foley for a few minutes.
Cameras, sir.
I have a constitutional right.
Here, go to the beginning here.
I'm Mayor Kathleen Foley. Get your cameras out of here. I'm allergic to cameras, sir.
I have a constitutional right
I don't give a fuck about
to record in public.
I don't care. This isn't the people's building. This is my building.
Well, I think Mayor Foley, you should get a new job then. You should resign as mayor immediately.
You can't be in here. You have to go. You're in violation of the policy, which is my law.
And of course, policy never trumps the Constitution.
Who
Mayor.
cares? This is my village.
Well, I do as a free American man. I care.
I don't like free American men.
So I got a great condo in North Korea that I think you should look at, Mayor Foley.
Wow, if only I could live there for free.
Oh, you could. And with your condescending attitude, I'm sure you will be in a gulag very, very quickly.
I want to use the people's tax money instead.
That's what you do right now.
Get out of here, sir. I like you, but I don't like you.
I know.
I secretly have a crush on you, and I don't want you to know.
Some people have told me that, Foley. I know. Some people have told me that.
So, and by the way, some insiders have told me that, by the way, and that she has a crush on me, some secret, strange crush on me. And it's all good if you do, Foley. And, I don't blame you. And so, who knows? A different life, a different world? You never know. But Good Guy Activism, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Are you on camera or just audio today?
I mean, I'll come on camera. Okay.
There we go. All right. Good Guy Activism, good friend of mine. And we just met a couple weeks ago because I saw you had posted a video that you did a year ago where you met the witch of the West, the meanest mayor of America, and Finger Wagon Foley a year ago. And what was your experience then, David? And did she get better, the same, or worse?
Hold on 1 second, because I'm on the train station right now. Hold on 1 second. It's going to be too loud. They're not going to hear me.
All right. So while he's doing that, let's see. Leroy, it's the hairdo, Brandon Mitchell says. Hello, Leroy. Hello, GGA. And can you speak to State Rep and Webster Barnaby, noncompliance? And 10TP, hell, I have a crush on Leroy. Very sweet. And Liberty Cause. Hello, Liberty Cause. And what Foley wants, her some Leroy. And so David will be back with us. But it's just crazy, the lack of freedom here. So while the trains go on, I want to play more of the video for you here. And let's get to that right here. I'm going to skip ahead to where the crazy unnamed guy accosts me. And let's get head here. And Mayor Foley, she was out of there at 4:30. Here we go. End of the day.
Thank you.
Okay, so I got my copies.
Look at the clock.
And let's see, make sure I got my keys.
You pay for those shoes.
And Mayor Foley, would you like a chance to just talk your piece on the record? I'd be certainly open to you doing another monologue.
See those Adidas on my feet? We paid for those.
I would certainly be open to her doing another monologue. Actually, I like the conversation, but you see, from the very beginning of this video, I've always been professional. I was friendly. And she was just so agitated and so nervous. Her voice is cracking. She's talking 1,000 times faster than she usually does, and she already talks pretty fast. And I don't know. Is she on something? I don't know. Maybe she could use some Valium or something. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not the therapist. I'm not prescribing anything. But Mayor Foley, all you need to do is just do the right thing. Acknowledge the information about Kenneth Baker. Just a minute, David. Acknowledge the information about Kenneth Baker and just do the right thing. And fire him and stop hiding what you're doing and stop trying to silence the people. All right, so good guy. You back?
Yeah, I'm at the Metro North, so these trains are really loud.
Yes. All right, so what was your experience? What was your experience last year and this year? Has she gotten better? Has she gotten therapy and gotten better?
I think she's gotten worse, honestly, because last time it was like a first impression. You could tell, like, I just thought she was ignorant. Well, not. You could tell she's kind of cynical when I first met her. I didn't really pay too much mind to it. You know what I mean? But I was like, that's the mayor. Look how she's talking. And then, she tried to, like, cover it up with a little bit of sincerity, which it wasn't really sincerity. Because she's like, you can record. It'd just be nice if you let us know or ask me for permission. Like, you don't want to... She clearly doesn't understand the way the First Amendment or the Constitution works. And either she does, which I highly doubt that she does, but I just think that she doesn't give a fuck about the Constitution or our rights. You know what I mean? You can clearly see that there's apathy. You know what I mean?
Right. And apathy and narcissism, because she is very passive aggressive. And so I know in the video that I saw, she said, now, what are you doing and why are you recording me? Now, you have a right to record. You have a right to record, but it would be good if you ask for permission. And then what did you say, Dave? And what did she say?
I said, can I have your permission?
and what did she say?
She said no. I said, well, oh, wow. Thank God I don't need your fucking permission, lady.
She is probably the most passive aggressive person. And when I have said she's a narcissist, I am not making any professional judgment, but anyone could see that she certainly displays narcissism qualities, which is not good when you are being brought information that can protect the people of the community, protect the people of the state and the country. So what else? I got to get to a lot of background. This stuff's crazy, David. But before I get to that, what else would you like to say about your experience so far with Mayor Kathleen Foley and the village board and her not acknowledging, or the board acknowledging, the simple facts that I have brought forth? And instead of acknowledging them, they vilified me, just like they do every whistleblower. Journalists are whistleblowers, and every one of you is a journalist. If you witness something, you pick up your phone, you are a journalist. You don't need credentials from some mainstream media place. And if you find something, which I did, I found something with my experience with Kenneth Baker, which was incredibly wrong, and he was attempting to intimidate me, but I ain't gonna get intimidated by no one, no how. But I look into his record, and as James Freeman said when he covered this story, if there were body cams when he was a police officer at the NYPD for 22 years, he would be in jail, most likely, not getting a second job after he retired or resigned or was fired, whatever the case was, in Cold Spring, New York. He would have been in jail, most likely. And anyone can go there, 50-a.org, just put in Kenneth Baker. You'll see the facts. I have brought nothing but facts to the mayor, and she has dismissed them completely. So what else, David?
I just don't understand, like, what's the purpose of trying to limit our First Amendment rights? What's the purpose of not looking into Kenneth Baker's background, which I'm sure she already knew his background? What's the point of limiting free speech? what's the point of limiting free movement in the village hall? I just don't understand it. It's probably just, if I was to keep it simple, put it in the simplest form, it's tyranny. You know what I mean? Why else would she limit our free speech? Why else would she try to put limitations on the First Amendment? I don't think it's because she's scared or intimidated. I just think that she doesn't give a fuck about the Constitution or our rights, and it's her way or the highway, and she's a tyrant. The power must have got to her head, whatever little power she thinks she has. And like I was telling you before, Leroy, that when they say it depends on the board's vote, you know they're all going to vote the same. So if they don't want you to speak, they just don't want you to speak. It's not because nobody on that board has a different opinion. They always all vote the same. So if they don't like us or they don't want to hear our voice, they're all going to vote no public comments today because, you know, we got some free thinking Americans that want to speak freely and redress the government, and we don't want to hear it. So we're all going to vote the same thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, where's the contrast at in this village hall? You know what I mean? Where's the freedom at? You know, it's just sickening.
Right.
It's really sickening.
Right. And one of the biggest problems is there's a problem when everyone agrees on anything in a room. That means only one person is doing the thinking. Keep that in mind, David and ladies and gentlemen. When everyone agrees,
we say that in recovery. That's the saying that we say in recovery.
Right. And if everyone's agreeing, only one person is doing the thinking. We shouldn't be agreeing on things, but we should be able to have a civil dialogue and talk through things. And I want you, Kathleen Foley, to tell me a single thing that is not true that I brought to you and the board about Officer Kenneth Baker, about not only his brutal past, but his present, which you know about. You've received complaints, of which I've only received one. And I've received complaints from insiders in the village. So I've got insiders that have been feeding me information. And you've only released one complaint to me through my Freedom of Information request, when I know there are at least 3 more. I'm going to share one today. So Mayor Foley, what are you afraid of? Am I that powerful of a speaker that you are in crazy fear of the truth that I bring forth to you? And if that's the case, my truth has caused you to create policy to shut down public comments for everybody. So I'm that powerful of a speaker that
I think
I want you to create.
I think it's that she sees freedom and people actually challenging her authority as a mayor, and she's trying to reclaim or hold on to whatever little power that she thinks she has, when in all reality, the power is in the people's hands. You know what I mean? I think that's what she fails to realize, is that we the people have all the power.
You're right. Here's the problem too, David. You're right. And the locals have got to be active. You got to get active. It only takes 10 or 15 or 20 people to demand the mayor do the right thing and also step down, impeach her. She has been a spox and an embarrassment to your village of Cold Spring, an embarrassment. And she is world famous now. And how can we mute? Good guy there. Here we go, mute. And she is an embarrassment to the village. The village is now famous. The village of Cold Spring, New York is famous worldwide for the wrong reasons, because of the actions, not of me. I've just been bringing truth about the past, my personal experience where he gave me a retaliatory ticket, unlawful, under deprivation of rights under the color of law. And many of the villagers, the village people, as we call them, and business owners and visitors who have complained profoundly about Kenneth Baker, including a past mayor, Seth Gallagher. He has a major complaint, which I'm going to show you, which Foley and the board hid from me. I did a Freedom of Information request. They said only one existed other than mine, which they didn't send me mine, but they said only one existed, not that one. Well, I'm going to show it to you, ladies and gentlemen. And so let's get rolling with, I'm going to show you some history here. So you see that the village of Cold Spring has a history of hiring brutal police officers, as well as a history of KKK, from what I understand as well. And if any of you in the chat can add some links, just do a quick Google search now and see anything on the village of Cold Spring, New York, and the KKK. Crazy stuff. So now I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see if this works. And Scouts will let me know because I won't be able to see my screen. And share screen and present. And this is going to blow you away what I show you here, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, if anyone would like to do super chat or PayPal or Cash App, Scouts, if you can put that up there. And also, it's never expected but appreciated, and there's lots of expenses to do these shows and the work that we do. So always appreciate any super chats and or PayPals or Cash App, and Scalzo will post a link there. And thanks, Scalzo. And so check this out. So I'm going to share screen here. Make sure you can see it, Scalzo. And we're going to start with this one here. And so let's see, entire screen. All right, see how it looks there. And Kenneth Baker. So this is where it all started. I don't want it to get lost on this. Kenneth Baker, and this is what I found. It didn't take any investigative journalist. You do a simple, third grader could do a Google search. And all these extremely brutal, documented things that he did to people. It's just nuts. And these settlements are stupidly low. And some people, there was a village idiot of Cold Spring who was saying, oh, $300,000 of settlements combined, that's nothing. It's not about the price, what it is. He was brutalizing the most vulnerable people. Is this working, Scalzo? He's brutalizing the most vulnerable people in New York City. And for them to be offered a settlement when lawyers are probably saying, you're not going to get much or anything, $22,000 to someone living on welfare or someone working their butt off on, maybe 3 jobs, Wendy's and McDonald's and some other things, that's a lot of money. But when you look at the details of these, that's the problem here. And the details it's just absolutely insane how egregious this is. And for some reason, it's not letting me click on these right now. Here, I'm going to refresh this. But if you can put the Scalzo in there again and put it in there. And some people say spam the chat. And we don't really mean spam it, but putting these elements. Yeah, it's not letting me click on these for some reason. I wonder if Kenneth Baker or the mayor got to New York City and this place. You can't click on the details. That's very puzzling here. Very suspicious. Well, let's take a look. Now, how much does the village of Cold Spring hate people? And not all of them. Again, there's some really, really good people there. It's one of my favorite places to visit. Government sucks. Now, how many of you know Pete Seeger? Iconic. He just passed away a few years ago. And my best friend was he ran a big organization with Pete Seeger. And Pete Seeger was his mentor. He wrote, This Land Is Your Land and so many classic Americana folk songs. Well, how did the village of Cold Spring people feel about Pete Seeger? Here's an article from the rag, the Highlands Current. And why do I call it a rag? Because they did a hit piece on me last Friday. And can you find that link and put it in the chat, Scalzo? They did a hit piece, never bothered in journalism ethics to contact the subject of the hit piece. They instead let the mayor say whatever she wanted about me, lied about me, misrepresented me, and they posted it as actual factual news. So that's a whole nother story. We haven't even gotten to that one, so we're going to be doing that one. Now, when Pete Seeger wasn't welcome, listen to this. Not going to surprise you, probably. Remember near and far for his folk music and political activism. And he was a great man from what my friend told me. Longtime Highlands resident, Pete Seeger nevertheless encountered hostility. Nowhere in the freaking world except on the streets of Cold Spring, in an era not all remembered and few wish to discuss. At the time, the environmental and civil rights movement had erupted, and there were violent divisions over the Vietnam War. And we know what the Vietnam War was like now, right? Freaking lie, based on the lie from our government. And political differences convulsed communities large and small. The unrest hit the Highlands too. In 1966, Seeger and his wife Toshi created the environmental group Hudson River Slough Clearwater, which has done profoundly important work with getting the Hudson River clean. And they built a replica historic river sloop launched in 1969 to promote environmental protection. Barbara Lust, who lives in Phillipstown, worked in the Clearwater office from 1971 to 1973 and sailed with Seeger. On the water, Seeger was absolutely terrific, very patient and knowledgeable, she said. He didn't talk that much about himself, but about the river and sloops. And he did concerts along the way, inviting the public to sail with him. Yet early on, in Cold Spring, New York, no surprise, the Clearwater was a target of local animosity. So was Seeger. Now listen to this criminality that could have resulted in people dying. On one occasion, several longtime residents, and number of them are the ones who hate my guts because I'm an outsider. I'm not a Cold Springer. I'm an outsider. So on one occasion, several longtime residents said after problems beset its rudder, meaning the ship could not navigate safely, this is an emergency, the Clearwater tied up at the Cold Spring dock. That night, as the crew rested, but perhaps not with Seeger on board, we don't know, an angry band of local village of Cold Spring idiots, and more than that, there were more than idiots. I mean, they slipped down to the dock and cut the mooring lines in the middle of the night to set the boat adrift and into potential danger. And I boated for 14 years on the Hudson River. It is incredibly dangerous at night because it's right near West Point. And West Point is the thinnest part of the entire Hudson River. And fast fact, during the Revolutionary War, because it was the thinnest part of the Hudson River near West Point, to attempt to prevent the British soldiers from coming up West Point, they put these big, thick metal chains to attempt to stop the ships from crossing and going further up the Hudson. They didn't work. But fast fact for you. But there are barges, giant barges, that go 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The Clearwater could have been demolished by that barge or a barge coming by, and everyone would have been lost possibly at sea on the river. That was a potential fatal experience with them cutting those lines. The vandalism recalled Marie Early was a serious transgression that troubled her father, who was mayor in that period. Yeah. How much did it trouble the father? Did he call on an immediate investigation and accountability for all the people with attempted murder? I think not. Cutting the mooring lines was a national offense, said Early, a current village trustee, and this is from a few years ago. Why no one was prosecuted, I don't know. Oh, I know, because we're dealing with the village of Cold Spring, New York. They have a history from the KKK on of hating outsiders and keeping things hidden and not holding people accountable. It was not a pleasant incident, she went on. The fortunate thing is no one was hurt. Yeah. And there could have been major fatalities there. And then in the letter to the Putnam County News and Recorder in June 1970, Cold Spring resident Yolanda Slater Ogilvy described a Clearwater concert stop the week before when once again local yokels caused trouble, cut lines, threw beer cans and stones, and used unprintable language, called the captain and his crew communist, and much more. Peter Seeger got more than his fair share of abuse as usual. When is this going to stop? Look at this. Local yokels caused trouble, cut lines, endangering people's lives. See, we have a history here. This is not new what they're doing to me and in turn to you, because an injustice on one of us, as Brian from Here's the Deal says often, an injustice on one of us is an injustice on all of us. It gets worse. Jan Thatcher lived in a home on Market Street at the time. His family rented rooms to the staff of Clearwater. And by the way, Mayor Foley, I'm looking for a house or an apartment or a room as we speak, because I'm going to run for mayor. Just 2 years away, I'm going to be a village resident. So anyone in real estate in the village of Cold Spring, let me know. Even a room. I'll rent a room. So because I love the place, I would love to be a resident of the village of Cold Spring. Pete knew he was not wanted in town, as Pete Seeger, Thatcher said. Every time he came, this group of locals would make his life miserable. I think the descendants of those locals are the ones attempting to intimidate me. But I got news for you, local yokels, village idiots. I don't back down. I will never stop until this is done. When Officer Kenneth Baker is fired and when Mayor Foley is impeached. These local yokels would make his life miserable. He would hide his car in our driveway so no one would know he was here. Is this crazy? This is an international peace figure. He was welcomed everywhere in the world except the village of Cold Spring. So much so that he had to hide when he was there. Thatcher said friends would drive Seeger to the Clearwater office rather than have him walk the few blocks in the open. Toshi, his wife, who sometimes accompanied him, did not generate similar antagonism. So that's some craziness there. Now let's continue. Let's go back to some other police officers who were hired. I'll show you the history. Now, there was an officer hired a few years ago named Anthony Pupchik. So I did a search on him, 50-8.org. What did I find? Insane past. Article, New York Times. Let's click on the article. Even knowing about his past, the village of Cold Spring hired him anyway. Let's see, what does the article say? All right, and this is the New York Times. This is an officer that they hired. Imagine if you read this article. You're being interviewed, you're interviewing, you're the mayor. You're a decent person, not a narcissist. And you really care about we the people and the Constitution. And hiring police officers that are not going to be brutal people. Now, you read this article, would you hire them? The Bronx District Attorney's Office has agreed to drop charges against a New York City police officer because a tape in which he supposedly admitted taking a drug dealer's money was nearly inaudible. District Attorney Robert T. Johnson acknowledged that without the tape, he had no case against Officer Anthony Pupchik, 30, who had been accused of second-degree burglary. He was one of about a dozen officers from the 48th Precinct of New York City, NYPD, in the Bronx. By the way, guess where Officer Baker is from? The Bronx. Indicted last year after investigation into rumors of corruption and brutality. But, maybe we should hire him anyway. Several officers have pleaded guilty. Others await trial, and 2 have been acquitted. Hey, maybe they were baptized. They weren't baptized before they got baptized. So I'm like, you know what? I'm a good person. I'm not going to brutalize anyone. But wait till you find out what Officer Pupchik did to a fellow officer once he got hired. Now, prosecutors had contended that Officer Pupchik and Officer Matthew Siciliano illegally entered an apartment. Let's see, they don't believe in things like warrants and so forth, at 867 East 179th Street in the Bronx on March 8, 1994, where drug dealing was suspected. So what do? Do they stop the drug dealing? They get a piece of the pie. The NYPD is so corrupt, it is disgusting. Never changes. Prosecutors said that drugs were seized, but that the officers and others split more than $1,000 in drug proceeds. You know what? Being corrupt is expensive. You got your prostitutes, you got your strip clubs, you got the donuts. Costs a lot of money, so they took a little piece of the pie. In the case, prosecutors said they relied on conversations Officer Pupchik had later with another officer. That officer was among those accused of sharing in the money. However, he had agreed to wear a recording device. Officer Pupchik's lawyer, Walter Rich, contended that the tape was almost inaudible. So what? You got the officer's testimony. He was wearing the device. What? You don't believe police officers when they testify against another cop, but somehow the judges all believe them when they testify against us? There's something wrong with that. Since being indicted in April 1995, Officer Pupchik, with no prior criminal record, has been on modified duty with the police department. Is this crazy? Now, it continues. Now, he gets hired by the village of Cold Spring, but does he change his ways miraculously? No. He doesn't just mess with the village residents or the village owners or the visitors. He messes with a freaking fellow cop. So here it says, and this is from the Lower Hudson Valley newspaper, Cold Spring police officer accused of vandalizing fellow cop's vehicle. A Cold Spring officer suspected that a fellow village cop had damaged 4 of his personal vehicles. Well, that cop must be making pretty good money in the village of Cold Spring to have not just 1, 2, 3, or 4 vehicles. I don't have 4 vehicles, do you? Over the past year, but can never prove it until Saturday night. That's when Cold Spring officer in charge, George Kane, caught one of his officers, Anthony Pupchik, 49, damaging the fellow officer's vehicle. Now, they're not saying why. They don't go into the details because they like to keep this stuff out of the eye. Kane contacted state police at Wappingers, that's Wappingers, New York, Wappingers Falls, New York. And they charged Pupchik early Sunday with third-degree criminal mischief, a felony, state police said. Because you don't mess with a Blue Line gang member. No. That's wrong. Any one of us wouldn't even wouldn't see the light of court. Pupchik was suspended, according to a statement from Cold Spring Mayor Ralph Falloon, who would not comment on whether the suspension was with or without pay. You see how like almost all these mayors are just corrupt, sick, hate transparency? Why did the people of the village of Cold Spring not demand to know whether this was with or without pay? That's messed up. And by the way, anyone, if you like to, do a Cash App, PayPal, Super Chat, always appreciate that. You could put that in there, Scale Zone. And Pupchik was hired as a part-time officer in April 2005. He earns $28.85 an hour, and he was most likely on a paid vacation because the answer is in the non-answer. He wouldn't say whether he was on suspension with or without pay. If he was without pay, he would have proudly said without pay. Guess what? The teachers' unions wouldn't let him do it without pay, I'll bet. And he just went along with it. In 1995, Pupchik was among 16 members of the New York City Police Department charged with burglary and other offenses in a crackdown on crapdown, Freudian slip. It is a crapdown and a crackdown on corruption in the Bronx. But the charges were dropped when a judge ruled that a tape in which Pupchik alleged admitted to doing wrong was inaudible. He got away with it. And that's just one instance. He probably did dozens, maybe hundreds. I'm not saying he did, but just asking questions. And what happens? He gets rewarded with continuing to get his job, get his pension, full pension as a police officer, and get hired by the village of Cold Spring, where he then messes with a fellow officer. What an idiot. And what's our count, Scalzo? And continuing here. Now, look, state police finally arrest him, Cold Spring officer, Sunday morning. So he was arrested. There's his picture there. Hey, looks like a guy you'd like to let babysit your kids, right? All right, so let's continue now. However, now this is important. What if you're a good police officer? What happens if you're a good police officer and you want to report a bad police officer? This next story is going to blow your mind. This was just from 3 days ago. This took place in Eastchester, New York. I think it's about only an hour from Cold Spring, New York. This cop did the right thing and reported. He was a whistleblower. He reported criminality, or in this case, a policy against we the people of ticket quotas. And what does he do when he reports this? He gets fired. He's vilified. They throw mud at him because they love to do that with journalists and whistleblowers. That's exactly what Village Mayor KATHLEEN Fingerwagon Foley did to me. And that's what they did to him. And you're going to watch this news report now and check this out, because he simply brought the truth about the really corrupt ticket scam they have with quotas, which they always say they have no quotas. But not only was the police officer targeted after he was fired, his father-in-law, who was a noble, from everything I've read about the father-in-law, a noble, brave firefighter in Eastchester, New York. And Eastchester, New York town or city, they spent over $22,000 investigating the father-in-law to see if they can get him on something to try to hurt this guy because he revealed the truth. Let me know, Scalzo, if this is coming out clear. And check this out. See this? They always vilify the messenger. This is the typical government playbook. Foley and the village board and the police in Cold Spring are doing the same thing to me, never acknowledging the message. They've never acknowledged the message. Forget about me. Forget about Leroy Truth. Just receive the facts I've given you and act upon them as your duty requires you to. You can't have someone like Officer Kenneth Baker terrorizing people in your village and knowing his past as well as his present. And the government is using the same playbook with him. Someone just said there's no audio. Is there audio? I just stopped it. Is there audio? Can someone just text me there's no audio? Is there audio, Scalzo? Okay, my producer, you got to check these things here. And so if you're there, let me take a look here. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, Scalzo, you got to be on top of this here. All right. So for all that time you couldn't hear there, apparently. So anyway, he's been retaliated against, and it's disgusting what happened to this police officer, and he was fired. His father-in-law is being retaliated against, and it is just criminally wrong. So if anyone can get me the information of the name, I mean, not the name, but the contact information of the police officer and his father-in-law, I would absolutely, I want them on my show. All right. So continuing here. And now we have another officer in this history of craziness and malfeasance and corruption, lack of transparency. Hey, there's someone named Scott Morris, ex-NYPD, who wants to work for us. And let's see. I wonder. Let's take a look at this 50-8.org here. Oh, he's got some complaints. Oh, he's got some lawsuits. Oh, one is $190,000. Oh, another one is $3.9 million, almost $4 million. Damn, we need to hire this man. He's got the metal. He's got the stuff that we're looking for. An officer and a gentleman. And so this is nuts. So major lawsuit. And what happened? He was a supervisor of two cops who were at an African-American's door, 18-year-old young man. And they told Officer Scott Morris that the guy inside had marijuana and he had a gun. And so they want to go in. So Officer Scott Morris says, well, you sure they have a gun? Yes, he has a gun. Okay. So the officers went in and they broke the door open and they shot the young man. Unarmed young man. What did they find? Found some pot in the toilet. They're pot in the pot, should we say. And I don't want to make light, though, of what happened. Pot in the toilet. They unalived him because of that. Scott Morris was their supervisor. Almost $4 million settlement. But hey, let's hire him. So how did he get fired? Let's take a look. There was a 17-year-old young woman who was a high school student at the time, senior, and she tried to get the information to Mayor Morandi and the village board at the time. They wouldn't listen, just like Mayor Foley. It's the same playbook. Because when she found out about this, she said, we got to fire this guy. We can have someone who's like this working for us. And he had just been hired. And so she was asked by this rag, Highlands Current, what did you mean by a comment in the Current that citizens and elected officials need to feel connected? And she said, after the June 9th board meeting, I tried to contact Mayor Morandi at least 5 times. And by the way, why did I go to that first village board meeting? Because I emailed Mayor Foley 3 times. I emailed every single one of the board members 3 times. They ignored every one of my emails. They forced me to go to a board meeting so I can give them the information that was critical to not just their village, but to me personally, as I had been given a retaliatory ticket. And so it said, I tried to contact officer in charge, Larry Burke, who is still officer in charge there, by the way, and the Putnam County Sheriff Department. I have not received a response from anyone. They don't want to talk to me, obviously. That's where Cold Spring Community Action comes in. It's a platform where anyone can bring information to the table and discuss it, whether or not our elected officials want that conversation or not. Mayor Foley, Village Board, Eliza, Starbuck, Aaron Freemark, Tweeps, Phillips Woods. I haven't even got to her yet. The information about Scott Morris came from other citizens. The information about the Trump protests, whatever that is relevant here. All right. Yeah, for some reason, the reporter threw that in. Now let's see what happens. Oh, the people got together. The village people got together. A Cold Spring police officer who was supervisor at the scene of a fatal shooting of an unarmed black man in New York City in 2012 said this week he would resign following calls from community members that he be fired. Mayor Dave Morandi, now this is me speaking, he initially ignored all of the complaints from the village people and people outside the village. Finally, said that Officer Scott Morris, who was hired by the village in December to join its force of about a dozen part-time officers, told him on a phone call on Tuesday, June 9th, that he planned to quit. Morandi said he and other village board members received a bombardment of emails this week questioning the hire. On February 2012, Morris was the sergeant of a New York Police Department narcotics team when two officers followed Ramarley Graham, 18, to his Bronx apartment on suspicion that he had been involved in a drug deal. Pot, for God's sakes. Stop this stuff with the war on drugs. It's a war on people, not a war on drugs. According to news reports, Morris was sitting in an unmarked squad car a few blocks away. When told by the officers via police radio that Graham may have a gun, Morris asked them to confirm it. The officers soon responded they were certain Graham was armed. Soon after, one officer kicked down the door to Graham's apartment, and the other, Richard Hayes, confronted Graham in the bathroom and shot him once in the chest. He was flushing down marijuana in the toilet. No weapon was found. No weapon was found. But you know why no weapon was found? Number one, because there was no weapon. The gentleman, Mr. Graham, did not have a weapon. Number two, the cops forgot to bring their plant gun just in cases like this. And one cop says to the other, probably, like, man, shit, he wasn't armed. What do we do? Hey, you got that, unmarked gun, right? No, I thought you had it. No, shit, all I got is a kumquat and a banana. I don't know. Maybe we'll leave those there. Maybe that will incriminate him. We thought the banana was a gun. You see what these cops do? It's insane. And he was murdered because he had some marijuana. And now Officer Hayes was indicted. Whoa, maybe this gets hopeful here. Maybe there is justice. Watch this. Officer Hayes was indicted on manslaughter charges, but a judge threw out the case. Surprise, surprise, Gomer Pyle, ruling that the prosecutor had given improper instructions to the grand jury. Whoa, the judges work with the cops. The cops work with the judges. They're on their side, not our side. A second grand jury declined to indict Hayes, who left the department in 2017, most likely with full retirement benefits, only to be hired somewhere else. The officer said he thought Graham was attacking him. This is insane. He's flushing pot down the toilet. He lied on the police report, most likely. An NYPD review reprimanded the officers. Bad boys. You shot someone and you forgot your plant gun. What's wrong with you? You know our under the cover training here. And they reprimanded the officers who entered the apartment for showing bad tactical judgment, but found the killing justified. As they almost always do. An innocent man was murdered, and they found the killing justified. Neither Morris nor the officer who kicked down the door were charged, but Morris did face departmental reprimands for failure to notify police communications and failure to supervise members during a police incident. Where the hell is Mayor Foley's finger when you need it? That bad boy. That's not good. Bad boy. At the time, the NYPD declined media requests for the officer's disciplinary record, citing Section 50-A of state civil rights law, a provision that the Assembly and Senate this week voted to overturn. Morris did not respond to a request for comment sent through Larry Burke, who protects all his guys. People say, Larry Burke's such a good guy. God, he's such a nice guy. He's like, hey, gee whiz, he's like Gomer Pyle. He protects every single one of these brutal, corrupt police officers. Larry Burke has got to go as well. Now, continuing. This is a complaint from a past mayor, Seth Gallagher, past mayor of the village of Cold Spring, New York here. Because Officer Baker did something, and I attempted to read this, by the way, at the village board meeting. And I said, this is not about Leroy Truth. It's about the facts. You're not going to believe a past mayor? This is what the past mayor gave to, I think this was the previous mayor, and the village board. And Mayor Foley would not let me share this truth. On Super Bowl night 2020, my 18-year-old daughter was a passenger in a car with two of her coworkers. This is Officer Kenneth Baker referring to, the one who gave me a retaliatory ticket, attempted to intimidate me into taking a plea bargain of points or something, which I would not do. Where they were stopped by a village police officer, which was Kenneth Baker, for the valid reason of driving the wrong way down a one-way street. Now, the streets are very narrow and also dark, and often people drive down this one-way street, and these are lonely little streets. Now, the speeding ticket that resulted, retaliatory behavior, Kenneth Baker's modus operandi, was unlawful, as the minimum state allowed speed in a village outside a school zone is 25 miles per hour. The stop was appropriate, but the apparent reaction by the officer was not. As alleged, it was needlessly aggressive, disrespectful, even abusive, and potentially dangerous, and was the kind of behavior that with different individuals could have resulted in tragedy. That is directed at Kenneth Baker, officer. Same experience I had with him. He was so incredibly aggressive. This is from past mayor Seth Gallagher. Yet Mayor Foley, the present mayor, refuses to acknowledge any of this, including they hid this. They hid this complaint from me. Completely illegal. Lawsuit incoming, Foley and the board. They hid this from me. I double-checked with the village clerk. Did you give me all of the complaints? Oh, yes. There were only two. Yours and one other person. It was a woman. They didn't give this one. Why? It is completely damning. Officer Baker needs to be fired tonight, Mayor Kathleen Foley, as you watch this video. It is also a potential source of liability. Duh. Why would the insurance company want to insure you if they knew about this? Over $300,000 of settlements. It was the kind of police conduct that has no place in our village, coming from a previous mayor, Seth Gallagher. It is also a potential source of liability if that officer is implicated in a future act of misconduct. How about with Leroy Truth? You ever think there may be a lawsuit coming in, Mayor Kathleen Foley? Particularly so if it can be shown that the village was aware of a previous act of misconduct, but did not appropriately investigate it and address it. Thank you for the lawsuit confirmation, Mayor Seth Gallagher. Again, keep an eye out for my lawsuit. This was your notice in writing. Plus, you received much more notice verbally. By my daughter's account, and I understand his daughter is a really, really fine young woman. All three were on their best behavior, trying to do exactly as the officer directed, and respectfully so. In her complaint letter, she addressed to the village board, which I forwarded to Trustee Miller, requesting distribution to the full board. She explained that when the officer first addressed the car occupants, he was immediately hostile, questioned them for the next 10 minutes or so as to whether they had been drinking. They hadn't, but he's looking for a crime. He was immediately hostile. What did I say? As soon as he drove next to my car when I was double parked, he was immediately hostile. Foley, what are you doing? Fire him. It's not about me. I don't win if you fire Kenneth Baker. You win, because now you become the mayor who did the right thing. The driver handed over his license and registration as requested. After the officer returned the driver's registration to him, the driver opened his glove compartment to return his license And the cop asked him what the is what he was doing, and that if he did it again, he'd have a gun in his face. This is Officer Kenneth Baker speaking. Mayor Foley, you were put on notice way before Baker interacted with me. During this interaction, the cop also called the driver a wise guy when my coworker was nothing but polite. The cop also asked me, what the bleep? I picked up from the floor of the car, and I told him I had not bent over. He opened my side door and put a flashlight in my face and asked for my ID. I did not have it on me and told him. He then ran to the driver's plate and gave him 3 tickets. One for expired registration. Ooh, we found more. Baker's like, he's just hungry for this. I got not just one. I got 2. I got 3. One was righteous, or not righteous, but rightful. Drove down a one-way road. Accident. It was dark at night. Signs aren't well lit. And one for expired registration. One for going 25 and a 15. That, according to Seth Gallagher, past mayor, was a lie. And one for going the wrong way down a one-way. Oh, and by the way, there are still 50-mile-per-hour signs. And you haven't seen this. Larry Burke, you're going to love this. I have you on video running away from us in your car. It looked like you were doing, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 miles an hour. I got that on video. Literally going right past a 50-mile-per-hour sign. Mayor Foley, why does Officer Larry Burke still work for you? He recommended all these people to the board, all these people here, or most of them. The entire time we waited in the car, I was close to tears and thought he would come back and hurt one of us. They were afraid for their lives and their physical well-being, especially my boss in the passenger seat who was black. I was so shaken up by this interaction and don't want anyone to experience the intimidation and fear I felt in that car that night, especially when it is so unwarranted. June 8th, 2020, by Seth Gallagher's daughter. Is this nuts? And she's making like I'm somehow making this stuff up when I'm simply finally bringing this to the public awareness so she could do the right thing and fire with prejudice Officer Kenneth Baker and any other officers who also have criminal records like or criminal-like records like Officer Robert Barkley, who almost killed a man, according to 50-8.org. Innocent man. As a matter of law, in a village without a police chief, it is the village board and the board alone that hires, fires, and disciplines members of the police department, village law. So Foley, however, she gives the orders, the marching orders, and they will do whatever she tells them. So Foley, do what you've been doing. Tell the board to fire Officer Kenneth Baker tonight. And also, don't just fire Officer Kenneth Baker. If you won't do it, Mayor, because you technically can't, the board, you do the right thing. Fire him. Your village is a huge liability. Hold on 1 minute. I want to see if something is wrong with this stream. Hey, are you listening on the live stream now? Or? No, I'm outside. Sorry. Oh, can you open the door? Okay. All right. Now, this is not to say the mayor has no managerial role relating to the police department. They do. But it is of a limited nature. You can go in front, Scalzo, if you need to. And Scalzo's going to open the door for someone here. And I can't see the screen momentarily. It'll be pass them in. There you go. But it is of a limited nature relating to day-to-day function of the department, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So is this crazy or what, ladies and gentlemen? And I'm going to open it up to calls in just a few minutes. But I'm going to show you one other thing. Is someone sent me this. And it is anonymous. This is a Village Insider. And they are terrified of retaliation. And nobody has been willing to come forward on the record. And so this person anonymously, and they asked me to promise I would keep them anonymous, which I absolutely always will. This person wrote, I'm from the Village of Cold Spring area. Kathleen Foley has a long history of activism in the community. Immediately after she moved in about 12 years ago, they start describing the ultimate Karen. She started complaining about the fire siren. Then it was the ambulance sirens waking her kids up, and even the bright lights of the soda machine at the ambulance corps. Oh my God, what a Karen. This person writes, she's the ultimate Karen. She is holding on to Kenneth Baker so tightly, Officer Kenneth Baker, because she would have to admit she was wrong. People who are narcissists or narcissistic qualities don't like to do that. She will never admit that, supposedly, but she will. She stabbed the former mayor, Dave Morandi, in the back, and he's the one who didn't want to fire Scott Morris after supporting him for years and organizing his campaigns, only to file her own candidacy at the last second to push him out of office. I am happy that you're ripping the lid off the corruption of this in this town, this person says to me. They had a former police officer that actually dressed up as HITLE, put the last letter in there, for Halloween, and wore a swastika while on duty. I got to do that for this platform. The police union actually defended him, and he was allowed to stay on the job for years afterwards, only recently retiring. He was also former NYPD. The police department should be disbanded. There is no need for it, and I think it goes without saying, I like to remain anonymous. These people are lunatics. Now, I talked about the past. I talked about the present. I talked about the future. Oh, I haven't talked about the future yet. Now, here's the future. There's someone who emailed me about, let's go to 50-8.org. The deputy mayor, Tweeps Phillips Woods, is married to a man named Matthew Woods. Oh, could there be a conflict of interest and maybe some nepotism in the mix as to why the deputy mayor doesn't want to fire Kenneth Baker? She's married to an NYPD cop. Now, I don't have confirmation on this yet, but according to my sources, that this is the husband of the person. I'm not confirming this. If it's not, someone correct me. But the story is he's currently working as an NYPD police officer. And when he retires, like so many in that unknoble profession, he wants to become a Village of Cold Spring police officer. Well, if this is the guy, he will not ever work as a Cold Spring police officer. Why? Well, let's see. He was is part of his Sergeant Critical Response Command since 2018. Active, also served at the 73rd Precinct and the 1st Precinct. Oh, what do we have? We have 6 complaints, 11 allegations. Just because it says 0 substantiated doesn't mean there are no substantiation. It is, we've investigated ourselves and we found ourselves to be innocent. However, guess what? This is rare. Is the internal investigation did an investigation on him because Matthew R. Woods, this guy, again, I'm not saying definitively if he's married to Tweeps Phillips Woods, but if someone can confirm. But this Matthew R. Woods character says he wants to work in the Village of Cold Spring. Let's see what happened after he was drinking and driving with a firearm and crashed his car in Queens. There was an actual internal investigation, and look what happened. This is going to be craziness here. And let's see what the internal investigation found of this guy. So there was an internal investigation. Was he found guilty? Let's see. Wrongfully operated a motor vehicle under the influence of an intoxicant. Guilty. Wrongfully operated a motor vehicle while ability was impaired by an intoxicant. This is internal affairs. Guilty. Refused to submit to a breathalyzer test. Guilty. Unfit for duty. Unfit for duty by the teachers who correct their own homework papers. Guilty. Unfit for duty while armed. Guilty. God, he must be fired and in prison, right? Let's see what the penalty was, because they're going to do the right thing, because they did investigate themselves, right? You know what would happen to us if we were found guilty of drunk driving and causing a crash and had a firearm in the car while we were drunk? Let's see what the penalty was. It got to be severe. Penalty. Dismissal from the New York City Police Department. However, wait. However, judgment is suspended and respondent will be placed on dismissal probation for a period of 1 year. He gets to keep working, the drunk driving son of a gun. But there's some penalty for him. No jail, nothing. Gets to continue working as a cop after being found unfit for duty. There it is right here, ladies and gentlemen. Unfit for duty. Instead, he would be placed on dismissal probation for a period of 1 year. Forfeiture of 32 pretrial suspension days. 18 vacation days. Oh, man, he didn't get to go to Disney World as often. and ordered breath testing. And then you know what the breath testing was? Hey, let's see how your breath smells today. Hey, smells like garlic and a little curry. You know, kind of strong, but here's a breath mint for you. Is that nuts? And so, he, Matthew R. Woods, wants to become a police officer in the village of Cold Spring. So this is absolute insanity. And hey, David, are you still there? Let me see if you're still there. What are your thoughts on this, David?
I'm here. I'm just tuning in. Is that the drunk driver cop?
Yep, that was the drunk driver cop. And I need to step away for 2 minutes. Can you just share more about just perspectives? I'll be right back in 2 minutes. And so happy you're with me, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to do a call in. As soon as I get back, we're going to open this up to the phones. But if you can just share something along these lines, David, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay. So, I'm David, good guy audits. See, you guys got me saying audits again. Everybody keeps calling me good guy audits, good guy activism. But it's just despicable. The more we uncover, the more it's just like, what is going on in this little small village? And I know Leroy Truth wants to get rid of Officer Baker, but at this point, it seems like we need to get the mayor out too, with the way she treats the public and the way she abuses her power, and she's so condescending. I believe the people of the village of Cold Spring deserve better. But if they wanted, like, nobody ran against her, she ran unopposed. So it's like, do they want a new mayor? Do they not want a new mayor? It seems like, for the most part, that they're like brainwashed and that they're like blindly supporting her. We haven't got any feedback as of yet as to how the village is responding to those unconstitutional policy of no recording in the village hall. But I would guess that most of the people in the village would support what she's trying to do. Yeah, so I don't know. It seems like most of them would support her because most of them, when me, Leroy, and Eli went up there for the town meeting, there's a whole bunch of snowflake bootlicking people that were in there and was clapping because she took away free speech, not realizing what she's actually doing, which is taking away our First Amendment right to redress the government, our First Amendment right of freedom of speech, and to have our voices be heard, So, I feel like they might blindly support those unconstitutional no photography signs in the people's building. But it doesn't seem like the people want. Doesn't seem like the people want power in that village. It seems like all they care about is that little trail. The little trail and
Yep, you're right on, David. All right. Well, you're breaking up. It's hard to hear you. Well, thanks for sharing. Thanks for being with me. Now we're going to open up the call lines, and David, you can stand by in case they have a question for you as well. So the phone lines are opened up, and you can call. I have the ticker right there on the bottom. Call 305-707-8325. We have our first call here. And welcome, everyone, to Leroy Truth Investigations. And hello, first caller. What's your name and where are you calling from, and what would you like to share? Oh, hey, Randy. Hello there. All right.
Can you hear me? It's Randy from Alabama.
I hear you. Welcome, Randy. What would you like to share today?
I talked to you last show, and I wasn't going to start doing my audit till the first, but I started, and I've done 3 audits. But that's all I wanted to say. Hopefully, give me a shout out, Mr. Leroy.
That is wonderful. And Randy, I want everyone to know, and I've been in contact with Randy. He's a good man. And last week he called the show and he wanted to start auditing. And Randy is on oxygen. He uses an oxygen tank to get around. Like Smo, who is an awesome auditor who has worked with Accountability for All. And you did the first audits, and I am so incredibly proud of you, Randy. And can you put in the comments what the name of your channel is? And I encourage everyone, go subscribe to Randy's channel. Brand new channel. He's a good man. I've seen one of his videos. I still haven't seen the other one, your latest one, but I'm going to look at that today or tomorrow. And so in the comments, put in, Randy, your channel, and my moderators can share that as well and spam it in the chat. So thanks for calling, Randy. Anything else to share before you go here?
No, Mr. Leroy, but thank you for your support. You really have been an encouragement.
Oh, I appreciate that so much. All right. God bless you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. So anyone else like to call? And we'll open it up. Share what do you think about what I've shared with you, what Good Guy Activism shared, or anything that you like to share. And get numbers on the screen, 305-707-8325. And also want to read this here. We have the Angry Vet. You want me to come run a covert operation for you? I'll spend a week up here and and give a good bunch of shayaita. And yes, call me or email me if you haven't, angryvet at leroytruth247@gmail.com. And I want to connect with you and talk further details. Also want to thank you for the super chat as well. Really appreciate that. And JC News Now, thank you for the super chat. And
Unknown
Flex Your
caller.
Freedoms, thank you for the super chat. And Rita for Nerd. Now, we're all nerds in our own way. I like nerds, actually. And also, did I miss anybody? All right, we got a call in here, and
I just realized I'm missing the fucking game. That's how you know I love you, Leroy. I miss this Sunday
good. You
night
got your
football.
priorities, man. You got your priorities. Yeah.
I love all of you guys. You can't say I don't love you guys because I'm missing the Chiefs and Eagles. So.
All right. Someone just called, and let's see if we get him. Yep, I appreciate you being on here, good guy.
Tommy V, post the scores, man. Come on.
All right, and someone we just missed them. Let's see, get them back on the line here. And if you'd like to call in, we're going to finish up in just a few minutes. We have a few more call-ins here. And
you have reached the Angry Vet.
Oh, hold on. I got to get you on. Angry Vet. Exactly. Angry Vet, welcome. I was just watching your live stream earlier today. Got Good Guy Activism here. And yes, we gotta talk further about what you're talking about there. And what would you like to share?
Oh, I got plans. I got real good ideas.
Wow. Wonderful. And what's
GGA is the whisperer, but I'm the hammer.
That's right. And always peaceful. I know Mayor Foley's watching this and the FBI is watching this because, by the way, I didn't tell you all, is that Mayor Foley had the FBI investigate me. And so...
absolutely.
So I'm under FBI investigation. I'm assuming all my calls are being monitored. So I regularly talk to the FBI every day. And
what's
so...
going on? The Chiefs lost to the fucking...
Yeah, I'm being followed as well.
Oh,
they follow my phone. Yep,
absolutely. David, what did you say?
I'm just bugging out. The Chiefs lost to the Bills and the Eagles is losing to the bum-ass Cowboys. What is going on in the world today?
Well, you never know. You never know. Things can turn around. Things do turn around.
Yeah.
And
you got bum-ass mayors trying to take over the world. It's a lot of insanity going on.
And again, we're here to hold her accountable peacefully. That's why I say to the Angry Vet, he is the angry, peaceful vet. And he is a vet. And that deserves something huge credibility. And he is doing this police reform work as a veteran because he cares. He actually became a soldier to put his life in danger. And he never once said, oh, for Army safety, or what branch were you in?
Navy and Coast Guard.
Yes, and he never said
Navy
once,
and Coast Guard.
in the Coast Guard. He never said once, for Coast Guard safety, I must put a gun to you or run away or something. He was always willing to give his life because that's what the job entails. That's what military men and women, they do. But police officer men and women, they don't. It's all about officer safety, never about public safety. And so what else would you like to share?
Yeah, the oath to them is a joke, and we're gonna fix that.
Yes, and again, always through peaceful means. We're always peaceful. However, we're clear, we're determined, we're unified and unifying, and we're organizing. And as Martin Luther King has said, the problem is not that we are outnumbered. The problem is that we are unorganized. And make sure to join the Army of Freedom at thearmyoffreedom.com, which I am creating email campaigns that I'll be sharing all of the soldiers of the Army of Freedom, peaceful soldiers of the Army of Freedom, to demand politicians like Mayor Foley do the right thing. And it is so critically important that we unify, which we are, because the politicians in and of themselves, they just represent themselves. So anything else to share, Angry Vet, before we go?
That's how we're gonna win. We need to get into their pockets and make some change.
And say it again. The phone disconnected here. Legislate and litigate, you said? I can't hear you. Oh, try it again. Are you there? Angry Vet, are you there? I don't hear you. Anyway.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. David's here. All right. So I have time for like one or two more calls. And if you want to call, you get at least one last call in, 305-707-8325. 305-707-8325. And what about you Liberty Cause? You there? And also, Liberty Cause said, Martin Luther King also said, injustice. I said this earlier today. I'll say it again. MLK said, injustice anywhere is injustice anywhere. Injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And if there aren't any more calls here, a couple things before we leave today. Again, if you'd like to share a super chat, always appreciated. And also, make sure to join the Army of Freedom. Make sure to always peacefully, professionally redress the government. Again, I unequivocally do not condone any violence or swearing or so forth. And she has the FBI after me for what she claims. Again, I have no responsibility with what other people do, but I ask people not to do anything except it's professional, nonviolent. And David, go ahead.
I didn't say anything. I said I agree. Me too.
Oh, you know what? Skeletor just had a great idea. The FBI, since you are watching this video, I know you are, I personally invite you to come to Cold Spring. Let Mayor Foley open up the books, do your own 50-A.org investigations on all of the police officers in the village of Cold Spring, past and present, and also investigate all the mayors. And you're going to see actual corruption. I'm just a whistleblower here. I shouldn't be part of this story. Oh, we have one more caller here. All right, Liberty Cause, are you there? What's that? Liberty Cause, I can't hear you. Are you there? Nope, we can't hear. Let's try to figure this out. If not, then we'll have to continue here. Liberty Cause, are you there? It says you're connected. Try one more time. Liberty Cause, are you there? Okay, how about now? Are you there?
Now I hear you.
All right, yeah, something's wrong. The connection broke, but here you are. So you're going to get the last word today. What would you like to share, Liberty Cause?
I just had a thought. When you were going through and talking about all of these cops that have got all of this history that seem to wind up in Cold Spring. Because down here where I'm at in Florida, we have our own little small towns that seem to be the havens for the gypsy cops. And, given the fact that, what we're dealing with these, I say quote unquote local governments, maybe the approach has been wrong. Something to just think about is maybe we need to be contacting their insurance carriers. And by the dozens or hopefully hundreds or thousands, taking this information that you have acquired and turning it back around and sending it into their insurance carriers and letting their insurance carriers know here's your potential lawsuits. Here are the potential claims that you may be paying out because of the actions of this quote unquote local government.
Right on.
I don't know that that's an approach that's ever been tried before. And at this point, I would say with what we're dealing with, anything is worth trying.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, Jeff. Here's the thing, Liberty Cause, is that so many people, they don't understand that, as you stated earlier, an injustice, somewhere is an injustice anywhere. A few people have said, it's not your fight, Leroy. It's not your fight, Liberty Cause. It's not your fight, David. It's not your fight, Scalzo Photo. It's just a little village. Let them deal with it. Well, no, because an injustice somewhere is an injustice anywhere. And that's why I will never give this up. Because if they get away with it, as Officer Kenneth Baker has gotten away with it for 26 years, until he happened to mess with a police reform activist, investigative journalist, they are emboldened to continue. And other villages, other towns, other cities throughout the United States will say, hey, see, we just outlasted them. And that's why we don't give up. Good guy doesn't give up. Liberty Cause doesn't give up. I don't give up. Scalzo doesn't give up. We the people don't give up.
Well, and it was said earlier that this town, that, they basically have got what they want. The town itself, the people in the town obviously seem very happy with the government they have, the police force that they have, et cetera.
Oh, pause there. Because just to, correct the record on that, because you don't know. But half the people supposedly hate her guts. And there's some who are the supporters, and then the majority just are apathetic. But there is a major vocal, though they have been willing to come forward, which grow some people. So there is not this unanimous, like, we love Mayor Foley. And according to insiders, half of them can't stand her guts. They want her out of there. They want Baker fired. They want the police department disbanded. So I just wanted to put that in context.
Well, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that everybody in Cold Springs just loves Mayor Foley. They think that she is just the greatest thing since sliced cheese. What about the people who don't live there?
Can you hear me?
Family, friends, a business, or are just driving through? Should they suffer the slings and arrows of Mayor Foley because you got a bunch of idiots in this town that think that she's just, doing a great job? I don't think so. This is America. All men are created equal. The rights under our Constitution were guaranteed to all of us, not just the people, in every little town, all of us equally. So if any of us are driving through Cold Spring, we should not have to be going through there in fear of harassment or in fear of running into some abusive ex-former NYPD simply because everybody in town is okay with it.
Yep, very important point. Exactly. Because it's our country. There isn't the United SSR Republic of Cold Spring, New York. It's part of our country. We are the United States, which means the United Cities, which means the United Towns, which means the United Hamlets, which means the United Villages of the United States of America. So any one of us can bring this grievance and redress the government to this village, whether we are a resident or not. And stick that in your hat and smoke it. Kathleen Foley.
Well, and I want to leave you and your audience with this one final thought. And something that all of them, they got to spend time with this. They've got to be reading their Constitution, not just the First Amendment, not just the Second Amendment. You have to read the actual Constitution, 7 articles, in order to really understand the context of the Bill of Rights. But Article 6, Clause 2. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof. What does that statement mean? This Constitution and the laws of the United States, that means all states, all cities, all towns, all counties. This means ordinances, anything that they consider to be a law must be made in pursuance of this Constitution. So, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Any little towns do not get to make policies, ordinances, laws that are not in pursuance of the Constitution. That is where we get the idea that the Constitution is the law of the land. It is the supreme law of the land. The Bill of Rights are the supreme law of the land. And any law not made in pursuance is not a constitutional law. And it has no teeth. But we have been allowing this now for well over 100 years. I mean, I can go back, you know me, I'm a historian. So I go back to when people really kind of laid down and they quit paying attention to their government. And, when we got into this, when all this started. But I really just wish people would keep in mind Article 6, Clause 2. And do not let the media tell you that the supremacy clause means that the federal government has supremacy over the states. That is actually absolutely 100% a lie. The states created the federal government through the Constitution. Therefore, they are the parents of the federal government. What they agreed upon was, in Article 6, Clause 2, that the Constitution would be the supreme law of the land and that all laws would be made in pursuance of that document. That is what it really means.
And most people don't know that. And this is why, in fact, we're creating 77th University that I'm going to be working with Liberty Cause, some constitutional lawyers, and it's going to be extraordinary education for everybody.
One second, I want to point out, we got Dub Wubs here in the comments that 1913, U.S. became a corporation. Actually, that started in 1871. So you might want to look up the Act of 1871. Before you read that, go back and read the history behind the 14th Amendment. Because without the 14th Amendment, we couldn't have had the Act of 1871. Without the Act of 1871, we couldn't have had the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Without the Federal Reserve Act of 1913,
hey, Leroy, look where I'm at.
The Commission Act of 33, or the Social Security Act of 38. And all these things are very, very important in understanding why the government is allowed or can get away with what they're getting away with. But it's a really good point, though. 1913. The Federal Reserve Act. People need to go read it. Go read the clause that uses the word for the very first time.
Hey, Leroy, look where I'm at.
And what human resources were defined as by our government in 1913.
Right on. All right. We got to end here. I got another live stream I got to get on, actually. Thank you.
Look at the sign, Leroy.
What does it say? Hold on, Liberty Cause. I can't read the sign. It's far away. What did it say? Oh, he's going by Cold Spring on the train right now. He is literally going on the train by Cold Spring. And it's super easy to get to Cold Spring. The train stops like 3 blocks from the Village Hall Police Station, Village Court. That is timing, perfect timing. Good guy activism. All right, Liberty Cause, we got to go. Thank you for sharing. We have much more work you and I are going to do together. And David, last words before we go?
Thank you. You guys have a great evening.
Okay,
Keep up great work.
Thank you.
United,
all right.
United we stand, divided we fall, man.
Amen, brother. Amen.
I just want to say, if everybody here has a voice, let it be heard. And I suggest and I strongly urge that you do it peacefully. I don't condone any negativity or violence, but together we stand and divided we fall.
Right on. Amen. And so again, you always have a right, each of you, to redress the government And my perspective is always do it peacefully, never with violence, not with profanity, and professionally. And I don't say respectfully. You notice I didn't do that because I don't respect people who shred our rights and who don't respect us, we the people. So thank you all for joining me. And make sure to check out Good Guy Activism. If you're not subscribed to his channel, subscribe. He's awesome. We've just started doing some work together. We got lots of stuff in store, videos we haven't even released yet, some crazy stuff. And make sure to check out his version of the Cold Spring where the guy attacked me, where Mayor Foley was being a person who either is a witch or has rabies. And if she has rabies, we can give her a shot of I can't say that word on here, even if it's out of context. We can't give her a shot of VAXX, the rabies VAXX to help her. But I don't know what kind of VAXX is for a witch. So I appreciate each of you. If you want to contact me, LeroyTruth247@gmail.com. John Danicola, thank you so much for being a moderator. Scalzo Photo, thanks for all the stuff you do behind the scenes, for being a producer here and a moderator. And I appreciate each of you. Stay tuned for much more to come. Village of Cold Spring never ends, as well as the rest of the country. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.